Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the inaugural flag ceremony, the Australia Palau Connector. So we first would like to recognize and welcome our guests who have traveled not so far, just down under. Yeah. So first we'd like to recognize the General Manager of Commercial and Distribution from Air New Guinea, Mr. Paul Abbott. Apologies if I mispronounced, but Ilan Kaprangi, Manager of Corporate Communications. Ms. Jacinta Wayne, First Assistant Secretary, Air Division, Department of Transportation. Hazel Casa from the Department of Transportation, welcome again. Mr. Fred Tamarua from the Department of Transportation, welcome. Captain Lysenia Laigulevu, PNG Civil Aviation Safety Authority, welcome. Boy Tao Dibura, PNG Civil Aviation Safety Authority. Clancy Booty, Airworthiness Inspector, CASA, PNG. Welcome. Diana White, Senior Legal Officer, International Law, Department of Justice, and Attorney General. Welcome. Ali Windok Singh, welcome to Palau. We also like to take this time to recognize our dignitaries from the government of Palau, private business sector. Madam, the Honorable Vice President and Minister of Justice, J. Duduk Sambal Suma. Her Excellency, with her tireless planning and details, Madam Ambassador Michelle Turner from the Australian Embassy, Palau. We recognize the Honorable Senator Mason Whips from the Senate, our National Congress. Welcome. In the House of Delegates, we'd like to welcome Delegate Umetaro. Welcome, Delegate of Aymalik State. I'd like to recognize the Honorable Governor Norman Girata Aboy, Governor of Irai State. The circle is located in Irai. The Honorable Mr. Niray Balast Matul, Minister, Super Ministry, Human Resource, Environment, Tourism, and etc. Let's recognize Minister Charles Odiang, Agriculture and Industries. We'd like to recognize and welcome members of Palau's Chamber of Commerce. Miss LT, everybody. She is the President and Chairman of Palau Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Sam Scott, he's also a board member from the Palau Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Vivian from the Palau Chamber of Commerce. Board members and executive board member from Palau Visitors Authority, Ms. Jennifer O'Gree, welcome. The Executive Director of Palau Visitors Authority, Mr. Gadoy Mulung, welcome. The Honorable President and CEO of Palau International Corporation, Mr. Yoshida-san, Manabu Yoshida-san. And Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Yasuhiro Yoshii from Palau International Airport Corporation. Welcome to so late evening inaugural flag ceremony. Members of the media are here with us and joining us, as well as colleagues and staff from the hospital. Welcome. But to begin the ceremony, we'd like to invite Her Excellency Michelle Turner, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, the Australian Embassy. Please to the podium.
It's great to have you here this evening and to see so many faces coming off that the inaugural flight that has arrived here tonight. Peter's done such a great job with the acknowledgement, so I'll just abbreviate a little bit, but I would of course like to acknowledge the Honourable Vice President J. Udak Singhabao Senior and all the executive that are here today, Minister Obiang, Minister Madu. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. To the Senator Mason Whips, who's representing the Senate, to Delegate Umetaro and representation from the House of Delegates, to the Governor Arirai, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. To our Papua New Guinean delegation members, to Mr. Paul Abbott from Air New Guinea and all representatives from Air New Guinea, from the government of Papua New Guinea, to those representatives from the Department of Transport, from CASA, also from the Department of Justice and Attorney Generals, is that correct? So great to have you here this evening. And as we do in Australia, I'd also like to extend and acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet here tonight and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So, since 2021, I've been in multiple discussions about a flight between Australia and Palau with President Whips. So it's great to be with you here this evening to celebrate the arrival of the inaugural flight. A flight which I hope becomes a regular feature or a more regular feature on the Palau International Airport's flight schedule. The region's strategy for the Blue Pacific highlights connectivity as a key theme, recognising that a well-connected Pacific with safe, accessible and reliable air transport underpins security and economic recovery. This flight, the Australia-Palau Connector, is supported through Australia's Pacific Flights program, which ensures regular and scheduled commercial connectivity in the Pacific. The primary objective of the program, the Pacific Flights program, is to support sustainable economic growth through enhanced regional connectivity between developing countries in the Pacific. Through the program, Australia offsets losses, if any, incurred through the operation of an agreed flight. This is to allow it time to realise the potential for commercial viability. Without this assurance, airlines would not fly these routes and countries would be hampered from easily accessing international markets and resources. In 2020 through to 2022, during the height of COVID-19, the program targeted the movement of crucial supplies and passengers between Australia and the Pacific and Timor-Leste. At the Pacific Islands Forum in 2022, leaders expressed a strong desire for North and Central Pacific connectivity. The program focuses on these connections and working with partner countries to build a stronger enabling environment for regional aviation sectors, improve safety outcomes, increase coordination, cooperation and connectivity in aviation between all Pacific countries. Australia is supporting Pacific countries to remain connected and contribute to economic growth and recovery in the region, particularly as borders reopen and tourist markets begin to rebuild. The Australia-Palau Connector with Air New Guinea will operate a weekly service between Brisbane, Port Moresby and Koror, with Port Moresby providing through connections to Asian markets such as Singapore and Hong Kong, and I guess likewise here on Palau, providing through connectivity to Guam and Manila. I should acknowledge that, of course, going through Port Moresby, you can also get to Manila. This new flight between Australia and Palau will provide the opportunity to contribute to tourism diversification, strengthen opportunities for further investment and trade, and strengthen people-to-people ties between Australia, Palau and Papua New Guinea. We look forward to realising these opportunities with the Government of Palau, Government of Papua New Guinea and Air New Guinea. And I'd like to thank all of those who've been involved in realising and supporting this flight, including the Australian Pacific Flights Program, Government of Palau officials, many of whom are here tonight, the Government of Papua New Guinea and your support, Air New Guinea, of course, but also some of our trade and tourism entities such as Austrade, the various tourism authorities, agents, wholesalers, chambers of commerce, media across the 3 countries. All of us together are making this flight happen tonight, and we look forward to more regular flights going forward. It's great to be with you all here tonight. Kom Kamal Mesalang. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. We'd like to invite to the podium Mr. Paul Abbott, General Manager, Air New Guinea Airlines.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for your very warm welcome to us and the team. I think the Ambassador has taken all the content that I was going to go through, so she's done a wonderful job, but acknowledge Madam Vice President, Ambassador Turner, Senator, more ministers than I think I've ever seen in a room at one stage at any one time before, the media, Chamber of Commerce and Palau Tourism and Visitors Bureau. So thank you very much. I guess a couple of points that I'd like to make. One, and to be honest, this is a very hard thing for me to say because I'm a New Zealander, but I would really like to acknowledge the support that the Australian government has put into this program. To be honest, it rips my heart out to say this, but it's recorded. I know I can't go back home anymore, but I think it's a wonderful thing what DFAT and the Australian government have done in terms of connecting some of the South Pacific Islands and the communities, and the support that they've put into that, and allowed airlines such as Air New Guinea to be able to operate and to come into places, obviously, and ensure those connections for places such as Palau back into Australia and other international destinations are viable and can be achieved. So I think they've done a wonderful job. And the other thing I'd like to acknowledge is I'm sure Ambassador Turner, Rochelle Turner, wasn't born here, but you would think she was by the way she has harassed us and carried us and kept us honest and focused on what we were trying to do and making sure that we were doing as much as we possibly could to make sure that this flight is a success. So she's a tireless champion of Palau, and I don't think you could have a better representative fighting in your court in Canberra and in other parts of the South Pacific. She's done a wonderful job on your behalf. From our perspective, we're keen, obviously, to make this a very successful operation. We'd like to be not just weekly services, but ideally, in an ideal world, to increase that even further. And so I look forward to working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Visitors Bureau and the agencies in Australia as well to make that a reality, because it will require a lot of hard work. There's no doubt about that, but I know you're committed to it. We're committed to it. Ambassador Turner's committed to it. And that's all we need, basically. So we'd like to make this a success and get more and more people coming into Palau and enjoying this beautiful environment and all that you have to offer here. It's a wonderful place. My only regret, obviously, is that we're jumping on the flight and going back home in about an hour's time, and we don't get the chance to explore the place. But we'll be back, there's no doubt about that, and spend a bit more time and enjoying everything that Palau has to offer. So thank you very much again for your welcome. Look forward to working with you and look forward to making this an ongoing success for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. And we now like to invite the Honorable J. Udu Sambao, Senior Vice President, Minister of Justice, the Republic of Palau, for her special remarks.
Good evening. Ali, the MC has done a great job acknowledging, but I'd just go on ahead and as well acknowledge the presence of everyone here. Ambassador Rochelle Turner, Mr. Abbott, the delegation from PNG, Papua New Guinea government, officials from there, and the Palauan contingency. So I'd Ngilabsinge, Senator Mason Whips from the Foreign Affairs and State Matters Committee in the Senate, representing the Senate. Delegate Umetaro from the Tourism and Aviation Committee of the House of Delegates. Minister Mutul, the Super Minister, and Minister Obiang, Governor Nginatabawet, Director of PBA, Vice Chairwoman of PBA, Jennifer Olgaril, as well as LT Fritz, President of Palau Chamber of Commerce, Sam Scott, Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce, and Vivian Protine, member as well, and all distinguished guest excellencies and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. And good evening again to everyone, especially to Mr. Paul Abbott, GM Commercial and Distribution, who is here on behalf of Mr. Bruce Alabaster, CEO of Air Niugini, and everyone from Air Niugini. Representatives of the Papua New Guinea government and all passengers. I know from the Department of Defense who are here to see me, but are not here yet in this room, who traveled to Palau this evening on this inaugural Australia-Pacific Connector. It is a great pleasure to welcome everyone here tonight, despite the very late time of arrival. A lot of work has been put into this accomplishment, which has been shared by our Ambassador, Rochelle Turner, which I believe reflects the importance that we all attach to the development of our collective work and efforts as a region. Palau joins Brisbane, Manila, Hong Kong, Kagoshima, Honolulu, and Singapore as the airline's latest international destinations. The Australia-Pacific Connector flight, a partnership between Air Niugini and the Australian government, is supported financially by Australia's Pacific Flight Program during its initial establishment phase. The APC will facilitate, as has been mentioned by Ambassador Rochelle, the connectivity between Australia and Palau with a weekly flight between Brisbane, Port Moresby, and Koror, and with Port Moresby providing through connections to Asia. As we all work as individual nations, peoples, and collectively as a region to accomplish the Blue Pacific continent and the free and open Indo-Pacific region, we can only applaud the accomplishment of the APC. APC has only further added to PFP, the Pacific Flight Program, effort in ensuring connectivity across the region, a well-connected Pacific. So thank you, Australian government. On that note, I welcome you all once again to Palau. I wish you a pleasant stay and a pleasant 1 hour for those who need to be going back this evening, and a safe journey as you return back to home. Komal misulang, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President and Minister of Justice.